X-Men Apocalypse is directed by Bryan Singer and stars the X-Men of the year 1983, Michael Fassbender as Magneto, and yes, Deadpool, McAvoy, not Stewart. In this film, the ancient being known as the first mutant, Apocalypse, played by Oscar Isaac, is set to wreak havoc on the Earth as he tries to ensnare various mutants, including Magneto, to join him in his destruction of the entire planet as he feels that mankind has lost its way and that they follow blind leaders. I found this to be an ambitious movie, and in some ways a very risky movie. There are strange head-trippy sequences in which McAvoy takes on someone inside his brain, and you get to see the metaphorical battle take place in a physical way. Unexpected comedy at unexpected moments involving Quicksilver, all kinds of things that make this film, in my opinion, pretty damn great. I saw this film earlier today. I was very excited. I saw it with a friend of mine. It was cool to see it so early. I knew the embargo lifted today at 5 p.m. Eastern, but I had some stuff to do. I had some work to do at home, and I didn't get a chance to really get my review up until now. But I decided, you know what, I'm just going to look at the reviews and see what people are saying. I am blown away by how mixed to negative some of the reviews are. It's definitely not a perfect movie. It has its flaws, don't get me wrong. I'm not just going to sit here and talk about how much I love the X-Men. There are issues with this movie and its storytelling, and for me, the biggest was the first 20 to 30 minutes. I found that it was a little bit slow. And in regards to slow, I don't just mean slow-paced. It took me a while for me to care. The opening sequence is in Egypt. You learn a little bit more about Apocalypse and his backstory, and I just had a hard time getting invested in it. It felt a little scatterbrained for the first few minutes, and I was like, I really hope this film picks up. And I think some critics actually check out sometimes when a movie just doesn't grab you from the first scenes. And I honestly think that happens. But in the case of Bryan Singer's X-Men films, he's made 3 really good X-Men movies already, and so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And what I found with Apocalypse is that after one very, very amazing scene involving Magneto in a forest, I was hooked. And for me personally, this was that rare film that got better with each scene, got more investing, I got more involved with it as the film played on. And that's hard to do. Usually films are a little more rocky, or they're pretty much just good or terrible all the way through. I found this film was actually sort of like each scene was a stepping stone for the very next one to get even better. This film balances a lot of different characters. You have introductions to characters like Cyclops or Scott Summers, and they did a great job with him. Sheridan was very good as that character. There's more drama between the Professor and Magneto again, and those two roles and the way they clash, for me, are some of the most fascinating elements of the entire X-Men saga. And once again, McAvoy and Fassbender play wonderfully off of each other, and there's some really, for me personally, some heart-wrenching stuff towards the last act, which let's talk about. No spoilers, of course. It's very action-heavy. There's tons of CGI, green screen, lots of fights, and actually it might be the most action-heavy finale of any X-Men film that I can really think of in regards to just shit flying everywhere. And sometimes that can really not work because the film can lose focus of the story when you have all this stuff happening. But I found that the very personal, human elements of this story involving characters like Jean Grey, who really gets a chance to shine in this movie, and McAvoy and the inner demons of his brain, it really provided some depth for me, and I liked the way this film tied in to the future X-Men films that we know already. Let's talk about something I was a little off and on with, and that is Apocalypse. Oscar Isaac is a fantastic actor. I love this guy. Way before I ever saw him in Force Awakens, I thought he was a terrific, terrific actor in virtually every part he took. Inside Llewyn Davis, Drive. He's a very talented actor. In this movie, I think he's very menacing. He is a presence to be reckoned with. The way he speaks, the voice effects they added to his audio was very dark, very scary, very ominous. But those first 20 to 30 minutes, I had a tough time really getting involved with Apocalypse. At first, I was like, oh man, this might be really corny, because I couldn't really get what his character was going for, what his goal was. But it eventually becomes more clear, and I think it's the type of movie that as you go back and rewatch, you'll start to understand why certain things are set up. Because as I said, those first 30 minutes, they do drag a little bit because they are trying to set up so many different characters and so many little nooks and crannies of things that you don't really feel the full arc of until maybe even the last 10 minutes. And that's a long time to wonder why certain plots and story elements were set up in the beginning. And during that time of watching it, I kept thinking to myself, are they really needing to explore all this? Oh, nice. I feel it now. Right there. And I can honestly say, as someone who watches films from a critical standpoint and who really likes to examine film, That is a problem that I personally have as a film critic. Sometimes you don't always get the answers immediately, and you wait until the end, and then you're like, oh, I just spent the entire film annoyed with little hints of things that I shouldn't have been. And when I go back and watch it a second time, certain things are going to feel more rich now that I know why they're there. And I think Bryan Singer and the writer Simon Kinberg did a pretty ballsy thing with this movie. It's weird sometimes. It gets a little trippy. There are strange head trippy sequences, and it paid off in the end for me. Also, I gotta say, Quicksilver. Wow. So great. I did not think they were going to be able to top his awesome sequence in Days of Future Past, but they did. And enjoy it, because it's awesome. Also, no spoilers, don't worry. There is a sequence in this movie I was extremely excited to see. People said there was a very spoiler-heavy trailer that was recently released, so I didn't watch it. So going into this film, I didn't know of this amazing sequence that I got. And man, was it good. Man, it was good. I was very happy to see that. So is Apocalypse as good as Days of Future Past? For me, it might just be a little bit below it. There are some narrative issues with the first 20 to 30 minutes where it took me a while to get into the story. After an amazing sequence in the forest with Magneto, the movie was great from then on. But those first 20 minutes were a little bit rocky narratively. There are times where Apocalypse and his performance goes off and on. Sometimes his motivations aren't very clear. But, again, as I said, the film builds and gets steadily better, and it kind of trusts you to wait and be patient. And that's something that you don't see too often in comic book movies nowadays. And I have to give them credit for being ambitious. I'm going to give X-Men Apocalypse an A-. I don't agree with the critics on this one. I mean, maybe after a few weeks, there'll be some more positive reviews. But right now when I'm posting this, I think it was like a 40% or something on Rotten Tomatoes when I looked. And I was just like, I'm not feeling it this time, guys. I'm not feeling it. I think this movie's better than you're saying. And that's just me. So guys, I have heard your request. I didn't forget about it. I am absolutely going to review Captain America, the 1990 version, in hilariosity form. I have the frickin' Blu-ray, and I watched it. And don't worry, I'm going to review it. But when I got this kind of last-minute X-Men Apocalypse press invite, that kind of took precedence, and I hope you understand that. Reviews still coming. You guys are the best. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.